Welcome back to the channel, everybody. I want to talk to y'all a little bit about the 2020 stolen election. Again, last video I made for y'all was in the live the other day. Was talking about the information that was supposedly coming down the pike, talking about DNI Tulsi Gabbard doing document drops on the 2020 stolen election. She's been in Arizona, she's been in Georgia, she's been boots on the ground involved in trying to get to the bottom of these voting machine manipulations that they now know is an international affair, not just something that happened state by state with a bunch of crooked Democrats. This was funded, manipulated, and organized from Venezuela with other proxies involved, including Iran, is what we're finding out at this point, folks. There's lots of revelations in this video. Just some different clips that I'm bringing y'all, some stuff that I didn't know personally. I thought China probably had something to do with stealing our election, but now we're finding out it wasn't just China. It was China, Russia, Iran. They were all in on it together, willing to do whatever it took to keep Trump out of power because nobody liked the way he handled them, especially the Democrats. First off, let's listen to a little bit of Benny Johnson clip on the Alex Jones show about what John Solomon said here in just the last several hours. John Solomon confirms that China's infiltrated voter registrations, the databases, and John Ratcliffe, Tulsi Gabbard, Cash Patel, and several people are reviewing this evidence as we speak.
You're saying that what's going to happen is we're going to find out the Chinese had a major heavy hand in rigging election? What's your take on the raid yesterday in Maricopa?
Yeah, it wasn't really a raid. It was a grand jury subpoena, but they grabbed the stuff. There will be some search warrants executed in the coming days based on my reporting. They're looking at, in Maricopa County, it's a very technical thing, just like it was in Georgia. Did you follow state law? Because if you didn't administer a federal election as it was supposed to be under state law, you can be charged federally. It's just about doing the right thing and following the law. But above that, not in Maricopa County, not in Fulton County, there is an extraordinary review going on by the CIA director, the FBI director, the director of national intelligence, so Tulsi Gabbard, John Ratcliffe, and Cash Patel. They have found a body of documents that I think will trouble all of us and probably will have a profound effect on the Senate debate over the Save America Act. A lot of senators are sitting up there saying, I don't know if I need to vote for this. I don't know what the politics is. Wait a second. When they find out that maybe voter identities in their state databases were penetrated by China and used in influence operations, that may change their mind. And so I think the debate in the Senate could be informed by what comes out in the next few weeks.
Oh, fascinating. Oh, that's so interesting.
That's John Solomon and Benny Johnson. Of course, you're like, wait a minute. We heard all this in...
Now, it is starting to dribble out already. There's been speculation as to there is a list of names that Maduro and the whistleblower that worked for Smartmatic are now part of, or helping compile, I assume, at this point. It's happening, folks. It's going down, down, down. It's just a matter of time. Scroll down. We're going to watch Will Kane today. It says breaking former Venezuela President Nicolas Maduro is cooperating to help build a massive conspiracy case, the Rico case, against those who rigged the 2020 presidential election by the use of the Dominion and Smartmatic voting machine, which have been used to rig elections in Venezuela for decades and help install and keep Maduro himself in power. This is according to a top intelligence source in the Trump administration, who says that the former Venezuelan dictator has the goods on all the players who helped steal the 2020 election, from President Trump from the big fish on down. Sidney Powell was right about everything when it was all said and done. A lot of Democrats and crooked rhinos who took a lot of foreign money to overturn the will of the American people are going to prison for a very long time. That's what I'm talking about. Everyone from Mike Pence to Nancy Pelosi to the governors and the Secretary of States in the 7 swing states where a massive voter fraud occurred to corrupt poll workers have been put on notice. This election conspiracy case is going to be the trial of the century. Maduro's cooperation with the federal authorities in a historic investigation, as well as exposing the Venezuela list of U.S. politicians who have received millions of dollars in kickbacks from his regime in exchange for allowing Venezuelan narco-terrorism to traffic drugs into our country is the real reason that he was charged, captured, and brought to the United States. President Trump is the master chess player. I absolutely agree with that whole entire statement. I think that's what it's about. I think that's exactly what it was about. What do y'all think? I think it is. I think he didn't go over there and kill Maduro. He captured him because he didn't want to just change the drug game by taking out one of their kingpins. He wanted to use Maduro to help convict the Rinos and the Democrats that obviously been working with him because all these drugs would not be in this country if politicians were not looking the other way. And Maduro being the big fish right there at the Venezuela, right there at the peak of all the drug corridor between Panama, Venezuela, and Colombia. I guess everybody had to pay homage to him in order to ship their drugs through. And in the end, not only that, but tampering with our elections has cost him his freedom. And I bet you, because his wife is incarcerated too, he's squealing like a pig. Now, this is what General Flynn said about it today.
Do you think Maduro is going to say anything on this, given that so much of the Venezuelan software, and I know you know this very, very well, was operated by his regime?
Yep. The short answer is yes. And there's others that they have in custody that are also divulging great amounts of information for the first time because they now know that President Trump means business. I mean, so yes, I think we're already learning a lot of things, and I think that is driving some of the things that we are seeing the FBI, the Department of Justice doing.
So we're gonna get a big ass Rico case show up one day, and it go arrest 400 politicians and county clerks and secretary of states and governors, and Tim Walter have to go. All them governors of Minnesota, Michigan, so many of those states up there. I even believe Maine was stolen. There's several states that just were so blue at the last minute. It was screwing. We know 7 states they stole it at a minimum, and I believe they tried really hard in about 15 states. On Lindell TV today, it says, bombshell, Iranian engineers were inside Venezuela's National Electoral Council during the 2020 U.S. election. Iranian engineers were inside the National Electoral Council. Maduro's regime invited Iran's foreign minister to Caracas to watch the steal unfold. Let's watch us punish the Americans. Testimony and public records corroborate Iran's top diplomat was there right after the election, praising Maduro and declaring U.S. hegemony over. The ties directly to Venezuela's strategic alliance with Iran, Russia, China, and Cuba, the same axis behind the 2020 coup attempt on our president. President Trump is systematically dismantling them. January 3rd, United States forces captured Nicolas Maduro in Caracas. Now in custody, possibly spilling intel that justifies the massive weekend strikes on Iran. POTUS himself posted this on Truth Social. Iran activity tried to subvert our elections. An act of war. No more stolen presidencies. No more foreign enemies funding chaos at home. Let's listen to a little bit of this guy here.
We just know he was the only foreign leader that was brought there because the Iranians provided some engineers too. There were Iranian engineers inside the CNE. So he was brought over to watch it there, watch it steal it from Trump. Watch us punish the Americans.
Watch us punish the Americans. They were all eating popcorn during the 2020 general election. The Iranian foreign minister was actually invited by Nicolas Maduro and his team to watch the 2020 election in America. Does that give you an indication that they knew what was happening and that they had?
I think they had some foreknowledge that some shit was going to go sideways, especially since it was their machines manipulating a lot of our key locations that had to be tabulated properly. Otherwise, it wasn't going to go our way because they were what you call swing states. Of course, they screwed us in the swing states. That's what they do. All right, folks. I got another little video clips here for you. Let's not save that one. Let me scroll down a little bit. We don't see Mr. Flynn. This guy. Bear with me, folks. Bear with me. There we go. It says, nope, this ain't it either. I apologize. It says, good morning. Each and every day we continue to see and hear more about massive fraud from 2020 and 24 as well. Exposure first for the arrest there. Exposure first, and then the arrests are coming. Patience, time, and justice. We have caught them all. This is Mark Fincham of Arizona.
I don't want to preclude any opportunity for DOJ to make an announcement about what they're finding. But I happen to know some of the actors who have evidence that they have turned over. It's evidence that we were informed of back in November 2020. So for these clowns to say, oh, there's no evidence, Brnovich had no evidence. There was no evidence in court. Well, you did everything. This is the radical left Democrats. You did everything possible, including buying off judges, to keep these cases out of court so that evidence could not be presented. Well, there's a case in Atlanta, Georgia, curling. The curling case showed that these machines could indeed be hacked within 5 minutes from a damn cell phone. So don't give me this argument that we have no evidence. That is pure gaslighting BS coming from a media which, quite frankly, I am glad that there are shows like yours, young lady. I am glad that we have social media that now just goes around the artists of propaganda. We are engaged in fifth-generation warfare.
That's absolutely true. This is fifth-generation warfare. It is a media warfare that we are having. That's one of the reasons I do this. I don't make a lot of money podcasting here. I don't actually make any money podcasting. I do spend a lot of time doing this every chance I get, should I say. And I do it mostly because I believe that when 90% of the media is lying to you, we need to be more than 10%. We need to find a way to reach the masses. So the 90% goes away, fades away, and it turns out to be just noise for everybody that's listening. When everybody realizes that the mainstream media is just noise, like white noise, propaganda, they'll start listening to podcasters and reputable news sources, going to places like Rumble and Twitter and some on YouTube here as well. It says, breaking news, Maduro implicates Pence and Pelosi in a massive 2020 election probe. Former President Venezuela Maduro has reportedly told federal investigators that Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi were lavished with millions of dollars, luxury vehicles, expensive jewelry, and gold coins by Maduro's narco-terrorist regime in exchange for refusing to allow an investigation into the massive fraud that occurred during the 2020 election. By the way, Venezuela bought and paid for voting machine software known as Dominion and Smartmatic. In other words, Pence and Pelosi took Venezuela drug and blood money from a hostile foreign government whose drug trafficking activities have resulted in hundreds of thousands of deaths of Americans every year, and in return they knowingly certified a stolen election, thereby robbing 80 million Americans of their will and their voice and their choice. This is the political crime of the century that makes Watergate look like small potatoes. Maduro cooperation and testimony is about to take down a lot of powerful people who committed the ultimate betrayal against the country for their own personal gain. Arrest Pence and Pelosi. That is what Mr. Joshua Tree is saying, or Joshua Hall is saying. Then Joshua Hall has another clip out I thought was quite interesting. And I've seen other clips to confirm this as well. I don't believe this is shenanigans. It's just a matter of dribbling a little bit of information out at one time. Sources say former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro set to testify against dozens of Democrats and rhinos and governors and Secretary of State, as well as election officials, that millions and millions of dollars of bribes and regimes have exchanged for rigging the election. Blah, blah, blah. Maduro is alleged to have provided state officials with Dominion and Smartmatic voting machine software to conduct their elections and fraudulently alter results. These are the same election systems that have been used to fix elections for Venezuelan dictators for decades in order to put up and keep them in power, including Maduro himself. Top names he is reportedly set to testify against ongoing federal Rico case is the being built, including Brian Kemp, Brad Raffensperger, as well as Gretchen Whitmer, Jocelyn Benson, good job, in exchange for immunity in Maduro's own federal drug trafficking case. Maduro knows all the big fish who have been stealing elections in our country, and they're all about to go to prison for a very long time. As President Trump put it, stone cold crooks. Lock them up. They need their ass to go to jail. Jocelyn Benson and Brad Raffensperger and Mike Pence and Nancy Pelosi. There is, I could rattle off probably 3 or 4 in every state that helped steal the election. Not including all the election workers. Some of those people that, Board of Elections that denied the right to see the evidence, the judges that refused to look at the evidence, that denied them without standing before any evidence was presentable. A lot of the stuff got shut down in 2020 by the judges, by the court system. Now that we have the proof, we're going to find out why these judges turned down these cases to look at the 2020 and just see why there were so many irregularities. If they were honest, they would have done it. The fact of the matter is, they weren't honest about it, and it's because of drug money, folks. That has a lot to do